Thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central. The federal government, through the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, has approved a hike in the electricity rates for consumers categorized under Band A. Now, according to the Vice Chairman of NERC, Musliu Oseni, in a press statement, the tariff hike would result in customers who account for 15% of the 12 million electricity consumers in the nation paying 225 naira per kilowatt hour, up from the existing 66 naira.
Mr. Oseni further stated that due to the failure to meet the necessary electricity supply hours, the Commission has moved some Band A customers to Band B, and that the review will not impact customers in the other band. Now let's take a look at how much the federal government has spent so far on electricity subsidy. If we take out the 2023 figures, looking at a graphic representation by the cable newspaper, we're going to show that. We had shown that earlier, but we're going to show it again. It's a graphic representation. Exactly, that's it there. Federal government spent 4.9 trillion naira on electricity subsidies in 10 years. In 2015, it was 225 billion naira. 2016, 308 billion naira. 2017, 351 billion naira. 2018, 440 billion naira. 2019, 528 billion naira. 2020, 501 billion naira. It came down in 2021 to 251 billion naira and came further down in 2022 to 144 billion naira. Took a skyrocketing increase in 2023 to 600 billion naira and now sits uncomfortably at 1.6 trillion naira, which is proposed in the 2024 plans. Well, and that's according to the cable index.
That's a huge one. Don't forget that the 2023 figure, according to the cable here, the index was estimated
one, yes.
Yeah, it was estimated. But then again, those are the figures. Well, these are the new prices for the discos.
Yes.
Yola Disco.
Between Band A and Band E, these are the numbers that we're seeing. Yola Disco, Just Disco, Ikeja Disco, and the likes.
Ikeja Disco from 69 naira to 143.
Very enormous increase we're seeing. Some have less increase than the others. But we'll get into the details of exactly what this means. We have our guests who will be joining us to discuss this. We have Martin Uzoegwu, who is the immediate past president, National Union of Electricity Employees, and we have also Osigwe Omo Ikidora, who is Ikiroda, I beg your pardon, SA Media to the Minister of Niger Delta Development. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me on the show today. It's a pleasure discussing such a crucial topic that affects every Nigerian household and businesses.
All right.
Okay, let's start off first with the question. We do understand that there's an increase in the electricity tariff. First of all, what do you make out of this? Isn't this a wrong time to actually put this increase in the tariff? Or is there any better time to have done this? I'll start with you, Mr. Osigwe, first.
Okay, thank you very much once again. Actually, we need to understand from a three broad perspective, which is the discos themselves, the federal government plight, and also the consumer. So from what we are seeing, the federal government are claiming that is no longer feasible for them to be spending trillions, subsidizing the electricity for Nigerians. And they said even the budget was done for this year, which is about 400 and something billion, was projected for subsidies. And they would need more than that, running into trillions to subsidize this electricity for Nigerians. And the discos, on the other hand, we're having the issue with forex exchange too. The time of making, getting equipment, purchasing gas, that. And at the end of the day, they have no incentive for producing electricity to Nigerians at this particular rate. And the consumers themselves, they have a terrible issue with the present economic crunch that has crippled almost everything. Because in reality now, it has gone to everything is tripled, both from transportation, foodstuffs, and everything. So it's a very, very bad timing in that they could have taken in cognizance into Nigerian plight and at least give them, forewarn them before the sudden increment, which is not going to really, really sell well because, it's going to affect businesses too much, and I feel there will be a backlash on this. But however, I think there are solutions to work around it.
All right, Dr. Uzoegwu, What's your thought as well on this? Right timing, or they should have at least allowed Nigerians to breathe, as it were, coming from the fuel and other challenges that everybody seems to be facing. What's your thought?
Can you please unmute your device? We're unable to hear you, Mr. Uzoegwu.
Yeah, can you hear me very well?
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that's, personally, that's a part of insensitivity to the government of the day, considering the fact that Nigerians has passed through a lot of turbulences in terms of the economic and political crisis that we are experiencing in recent time. Nigerians have been into a serious hardship that one should not even contemplate of any increase, especially when it has to do with electricity, which you and I are aware that the supply is not even there. So what are we then increasing when the supply is not there? The generation capacity has continued to dwindle. The structural and infrastructure development of that sector has continued to go down, even after 10 years of privatization. Now, government came with the mindset of inefficiency. 2013, in fact, starting from 2005, when the Electricity Power Sector Reform Act was enacted, they came with the mindset of trying to unbundle the sector so that they can be able to make it efficient. They sold that to the public, and they used the methodology of communication, where they believe that the same application could be achieved in electricity industry, where they sold NITE, privatize it, and you have MTN, you have so many other communication lines. They sold that to Nigerians, and Nigerians queue into it, thinking that electricity sector, works the same methodology with the communication sector. But that has not yielded any significant improvement since after privatization. This is 10 years, and Nigeria is still talking about between 3,500 to 4,000 megawatts. So how can we improve? How can you convince the masses who are using this electricity that the essence of increasing this tariff, is it to improve the efficiency, or is it to inflict injury to the masses? So I believe that at this point in time, is not the right time to even talk about it. Now, you could recall that we are just even coming out from the fuel crisis, which government says they have removed subsidy. And yet, even that subsidy is the fuel is being subsidized, through the back door. So I think the whole thing, the whole requirement need to be looked into. Yes, I can agree with that. In every business, one should be able to make profits. There could be a time for one to be able to increase the price of the product, which fall under MITO. Yes, we have led the reason for the establishment of MITO. Nobody is questioning about that. But then, is it the right time for such applications to be, for such things to be applied? I believe that this is not the right time, and the government should look back to readdressing this. And this has equally come to play because one is that, as of last year, there are rumors, even early this year, that the World Bank and IMF has been architect of this increase of electricity and the removal of the subsidy in electricity. You can't remove subsidy in electricity when the economy is down. There are so many other countries that are even subsidizing electricity. United States, for example, is subsidizing electricity up to now, notwithstanding that they are generating almost more than 250,000 to 300,000 megawatts. With how many population? But Nigeria that has more than 200 million population are not even generating up to 4,000 megawatts. So how can you now increase? Because you came with the mindset of band A, band B, band C. I think that is the gimmicks to be able to extort people. So I think this is not the right time for us to do that.
Okay, will there ever be a right time? Will there ever be a time when, and this is flowing from what you've said, Mr. Uzoegwu, that this is not the right time. Will there ever be a right time when electricity subsidy should be removed?
Yes, of course, there should be a right time. When all the indices and all the parameters and all government has the political way to do the right thing. Because as it is now, Ministry of Power sector has suffered a lot of setback. More than 2 trillions has been injected in the power sector. Nothing significant has been achieved. We sold 4,000 megawatts 10 years ago, and we are still managing the same 4,000 megawatts. How can we survive? This demand is higher than supply, and that is why you are having a seasonal collapse. So the companies, the discos, the gencos, the gas supplies, all those issues need to be addressed before you start talking about having any increase. Let me tell you, between 2013 up to this month, government has increased the tariff for more than 5 times. So what significant achievements have we done in that respect since 2013 up to this moment, when we are still maintaining the same 4,000 megawatts? So is this the right time for us to do it when we have done it for over 10 years and yet we could not achieve it? So the right thing needs to be put in place. We need to look at the electricity sector holistically. We need to declare state of emergency in the electricity sector. We need to look at the leadership, those who are managing this sector, whether they have the right qualification to be able to do it, whether they have the political will to be able to take a decisive decisions, the regulations, the rules guiding every agreement, whether they are implementing it. Now, you and I are aware that there are agreements signed, even with the discourse, in terms of performance agreements, 5 years down the line. Was that revisited? Nobody revisit that agreement, because if the agreement says if the discourse will not perform after 5 years, the government has the obligations to review the privatization or the sale of those companies to the buyers. But it was not done. This is 10 years we are talking about, and nothing significant has been done.
Okay.
So I think the government need to have that political will for them to be able to do that. But at this point in time, it's very insensitive for government to do that, considering what is happening in the country.
We want to say thank you so much for that summation and for sharing. But let's go back to Mr. Osigwe. Mr. Osigwe, looking at the Niger Delta, most importantly, I mean, the entire country, Nigeria, one of the comments made by economists is that we're about to see a worsening and an increase when it comes to poverty. Do you agree with that, looking at all of these, especially with the increase in the electricity bill and the tariff as well?
Like I stated earlier, there has to be a way whereby you can strike a balance between the government, the consumers, and as well as the the providers. This is the discourse, because we should when we discuss national issues, we always fail to take into cognizance some factors like traditional, tribal, religious, and others, because these issues influences government decisions and policies, which sometimes we fail to factor in. So in the part of the government is saying that it's unsustainable. And we know how things are. So what are they expected to do? They should have, for me, they should have delayed for a little while trying to bring out some economic measures in place, like flooding the streets with their CNG buses, which we are already aware of, and soon roll out, and so many other, palliative methods into this electricity sector, to whistle down the challenges we are facing. Because if we desire to produce, 40,000 megawatts, which we are saying 200,000 and the rest, we need the funds, we need the capacity. And if government, the way it is, we still have the issue of discipline, we still have the issue of corruption to deal with government. So I believe that we have to start taking seriously investment into renewable energy and still make the right environment for these investors to come in. And one of such ways, actually, is from the part of the government is to reduce the subsidy on electricity, and from the part of the districts is for them to increase their capacity to generate electricity, because all these things we must reach them. So we on our own, there's nothing much we can do than to protest against this increase at this particular time, taking into the fact that Nigerians are really, really suffering because of some of the policies of the government. And these policies are really meant to better our lot at the end of the day. Because we can't keep postponing, the time to say when is the right time, But then we should have more of human faith at this stage, because things are really, really going out of hand. And we should expedite actions on renewable energy and other sources of provision of electricity that make price come down over time. At least from what we're saying, there's hope that when our refineries start, even our fuel and our gas the cost will come down significantly. And we think it would, but the challenges we are facing now is not to stop. So all we can do is to appeal to the government to just find better means, to ameliorate these suffering. But it's a must. It's something that has to occur one time or the other. And this is a new government, and this is a perfect opportunity for them to start introducing such measures.
All right, gentlemen. I wish we had. I wish we had more time to carry on this conversation. But I want to say thank you so much to you, Dr. Martin Uzoegwu, for joining us. We look forward to have you again, because we would like to get more insight into what the people are saying, even staff, members of NERC and the like. So there are other, parties that are looking to be involved in this. The NLC has said that they do not support this. The TUC said they do not support this. And some others are saying they do not support this. But I want to say thank you so much, distinguished gentlemen. Thank you for your time. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but we look forward to have you join us again. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. All right.